Okay, hi. Hello. Welcome back to my knitting room. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Melissa and you can find me on Instagram at StitchesBeSlippin. And this is the Stitches Be Slippin YouTube channel where I mostly talk about knitting, but I also dabble in the other fiber arts as well because I have ADHD and I get distracted very easily. Today will feature some other fiber arts that are not knitting, well, just one, but it's pretty good, so you're gonna like it. Yeah, hi, welcome. This is my knitting room if you haven't been here before. Let's be friends, let's be fiber friends, let's hang out together on the internet sometimes. I will give you fair warning ahead of time that if you are new here, that I do enjoy peppering my podcast with some sort of spicy language every once in a while. I would say the vast majority of my viewers enjoy it, and every once in a while I get a little poo-pooer who says it's not necessary, and I respectfully fucking disagree. So that seems to have become my motto, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, welcome in. Everyone is welcome here. Let's talk about some knitting, shall we? First, we'll talk about some knitting because that's my FO section. So let's start with some FOs, finished objects. I have a surprisingly decent amount of FOs, given that I only just spoke with you guys, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I didn't know if I was gonna get another episode in, but here we are. I got some stuff done, and if I didn't do it now, then it would have probably been another 2 weeks until my kids go back to school, and that would have been a whole month, and I wouldn't remember anything that I did. And so it's better to just get it in. I know you all are busy. I know it's the holiday season, but I thought maybe if you guys have some downtime during the holidays, then you might have something to watch. So here I am. I was talking about FOs. Yeah, so what shall we talk about first? Okay, well, on my last episode, I showed you that I had made a stocking for one of my nieces. And then I decided I was making plans to make a lot of stockings for everyone, basically, that we do Christmas with on my husband's side of the family. And if I did everyone, including us, that would have been, I think it was 9. Yeah, 9. And then I thought, well, that's a stupid idea. So I did this one. This was for one of my nieces. On that side, I have, well, but come to Christmas, there's 2 nieces, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law. And whenever we go and have stockings, some people have really nice handmade, like, special stockings. Like I have one that my mom made me when I was a kid. Both of my kids have stockings that my mom made them, quilted them, and Dave has one that his mom made him when he was a kid. And then when we go to Dave's mom's for Christmas, Dave's mom has one, Dave's brother, my brother-in-law, has one. But his wife and my 2 nieces don't have like a special handmade stocking. So I decided to narrow down to just kind of stop going like, I'm gonna make all the things, and just focus on the people who needed it. So here's my stocking that I made for my one niece. She's a pink lover, at least she used to be, and I really love pink, so I'm kind of holding on to that, and it doesn't really matter to me if she likes pink anymore, because that's what I'm making her. This, I used the Stripey Stockings pattern by Shelley Dupont, Shelley, that is on Ravelry. And it's meant for DK, it's written for DK self-striping yarn, but I just kind of, I was using heavier yarn. This is like acrylic worsted weight yarn from Michaels/Walmart. And so I just wanted kind of an idea of stitch count, and then I did do the picot, like this is folded over and then picot at the bottom, but I did it not in the way that she was supposed to, and then I was which I should have done it the way I was supposed to, but I never do things the way I'm supposed to, and then I get in trouble, and then shit hits the fan. So anyway, I did this one, and then I decided to do one for my other niece and one for my sister-in-law, and that would be good enough for this year. If I get a lot of feedback from everyone else, I will keep working on them next year so everyone can have some next year that just live there or something. So this is my second one that I made. I pretty much followed I cast on the same stitch count, but instead of the folded top and the picot edge, I just did 2x2 ribbing for however many rows. The same number of rows that's called for in the pattern, so that's not, I am not saying, because you have to pay for the pattern. And then I just did the same amount. I counted, I wasn't really paying attention on the other one. I just counted how many rows I did on that one, and I did that many rows on this one. Well, I knit the whole tube down to here, and then I put the toe on, and then I cut in the heel. And Bob's your uncle. I did have to, the yarn for this, I don't know what I did with it. This is from Michaels, and it's one of those, it's called Karen Big Cakes. I'll put a link down below. And for everything, I'll link down below patterns, yarn, makers, dyers, blah, 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 all that stuff. So this was a Karen Big Cakes. I think the name was Boysenberry, but I'll put a link down below to this exact colorway if I can. Yeah, so I did have to do a little bit of yarn management. You'll see on this side maybe a little bit that I did have to, even though it is a self-striping yarn, I did have to like manually stripe it because the repeats were really, really, really long. Like I think each stripe would have maybe even been like this or like this if I'd have let it go, and then I wouldn't have got all the colors in, and it would have, I don't know, I think it would have looked weird. So I just went until, I think I did, let me see here. So, okay, that's what I did. So here I did the same number of rows as I did in the ribbing, so it would be kind of like consistent. And then that's how many rows I did in each color. So I did have to cut and then wind off the rest of that color and then start the next color and then cut and wind off and whatever. But I think it looks really good. And then I had to wind off the rest of until I got back to this color again to do the heel. I cut that in afterwards. I kind of regret using an afterthought heel for these because this is acrylic yarn and like blocking it won't really make any difference, and it kind of sticks out funny, but oh well, it's just gonna be hanging. Nobody's actually gonna be wearing it or anything. Anyway, I think this one is really cute. This is for my niece. She really likes this kind of minty color, and so I hope she likes that one. I think it's really cute. And then for my sister-in-law, I wanted to do something a little nicer, a little fancier. So I was looking for stocking. Shit. I just realized that, did I write down the name? I don't think I wrote down the name of it, but it might be in here. I was looking for stocking patterns on Ravelry using the same, basically the same gauge as I've been using for these other two, so I didn't have to do anything different. And I found one that was the same stitch count, same gauge, so that's what I did. And here she is. I think it's really pretty. So my sister-in-law really likes this kind of sagey greeny blue kind of color. And so I wanted to do a little bit of color work, but I didn't want it to be like crazy color work. And it's pretty good. It's like a little lumpy in places, but like I said, it's acrylic and blocking it isn't really gonna, I might try to steam it and see if I can get it to sit a little bit better, but it's not bad. It's actually, I don't even know if it needs it. The name of this stocking that's in my brain is the crystalline stocking, but I will put the I'll put a title down here with the actual name and the designer, and I'll put the link down below for the pattern. So I quite enjoyed it. It's like only that much color work there, and then the rest of this, like these are just one by one, which is really hard to fuck up. So I really liked that. And then I actually really enjoyed this heel. This is basically, it's like you just do the back of the heel and the heel turn, and there's no gusset. I was like, this is the best. That's the part of doing heel flap and gusset that I hate. I hate doing the gusset. But I did mess up a little bit. I forgot, well, not forgot, I just didn't read the entire instructions. So when I finished the heel flap, and then I just like picked up the stitches and started knitting in the round again, I missed the part where it said to decrease. So you had to like pick up these stitches along the heel here, and then it said to decrease in the next round however many stitches that you like decrease evenly or whatever, so you get back to that original stitch count. And I just accidentally didn't read that part, so the foot is way bigger than the top, but it doesn't look that terrible. And now she can fit more stuff in her stocking, so I don't think that's bad either. And then the toe was different too. It was like, it's sort of like a rounded, like a, almost like the decreases on a hat or a toque. And that lays a lot nicer than just the regular toe that I did for the heels and toes on the other ones. So going forward, I would probably stick with this heel and this toe, and probably with this pattern, because I really liked it. It went quickly. And yeah, so I don't have the exact, well, I might have them over there. I'll go check just a second. Okay, I did find the yarn for the colorwork stocking. And so that is, this one is Loops and Threads. So it's from Michaels. And the color number is VS144. Just rolls off the tongue. Oh, but up here it says Arctic. I don't know if you can see that, but it says, I think Arctic is the name of the colorway. And then the color number is VS144. And then the other one is also Loops and Threads. Oh, and I didn't say what the name is. Loops and Threads Soft Classic Acrylic. And it is quite nice and soft. I mean, it's acrylic yarn, so so it's 100% acrylic, worsted weight. This one, the color name is white, and the color number is VS01. So those two together, excuse me, made this. So I think I'm very happy with that one. I think it turned out quite nicely. And I just remembered I have to still make a hanger so that she can hang it up. So yeah, I'm done making stockings for this year, and we'll see what kind of whining or feedback I get from anyone else. I think my husband wants a new one because the one that his mom made, it's really nice, but like it's from whatever 30 or 40 years ago, and it's quite small, and like you can fit like, I usually give them hockey tape, so I put like one like big thing of a whole bunch of things of hockey tape, like a tube almost, and it just takes up the whole stocking. So he really loves his stocking from his mom, but I think he also wants a bigger one. So we'll see if I get any requests from anyone else for more stockings. I did finish the 2 scarves for my kids' teachers. I showed the pink one for my older son's teacher in the last episode. And then I showed the tube for my younger son's teacher in the last episode. So I did finish that. I just put like ribbing on the ends and tassels, just like the pink one. I put like some nice dark green tassels on the end. They're all wrapped up downstairs, ready to give the teachers tomorrow. So you can just like use your imagination. I know you're supposed to actually show your FOs, but I showed you like 98% of it last time. So if you really have a burning urge to see, just go to my last episode and watch it again, I guess. Yeah, so that. I have one more. I'm calling it an FO because I did start doing something and finish it, but it's from a previous FO. Sorry, I just kicked you. I apologize. Yeah, so I have this one last one before we get to the elephant in the room. I also haven't said what I'm wearing yet, so I should probably talk about that too. Anyway, my last FO. I made this sweater for my husband, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I can't remember how long I've been knitting. So it was at the beginning of my knitting career. At the beginning of my knitting career, I made a lot of socks. I learned basically how to make socks first. And then I ventured out into sweaters. And I found all of you seasoned knitters out there will recognize this pattern. This is the flax worsted by Tin Can Knits. It is very distinguishable because of the garter panel on the sleeves, and I think it's really nice. I made this pattern before they made a little addition to the pattern where you could add short rows to the back. And so as a result, like, he wore it like maybe a couple times, but it was really uncomfortable for him because it would ride up his neck in the front. So it's like straight, like there's no short rows in the back to like make the back sit up higher. And so it was just really uncomfortable for him. So he didn't really wear it. And then he pulled it out of the closet, I don't know, last week or something, and put it on and was like, oh, I forgot about the sweater, you know, it's really, really cozy and warm. And then he had it on for like 5 minutes and he took it off. He's like, I can't wear it, it's just too uncomfortable. So I was like, I'm finally gonna dig into this and figure out how to fix it. Originally, I had sewn in some of that like elastic thread around here to like, because it was also the neckline was quite large, which looked really weird. So I used elastic to cinch it in, but that didn't fix the like riding up the front. So the other day, I don't know, last week, I think. I'm sorry. I dug in, I turned on some podcasts and spent, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours just unpicking the collar, because it's a top-down sweater. Yeah, top-down raglan sweater. And so like if you like undo, it's not like I was undoing a bind off and then could just rip it all the way out. I was undoing a cast on. So I couldn't just like pull it and then it would like unravel by itself. I had to unpick every single stitch. So I did that. I did that for a few rounds, for a few hours, and then was like, oh my God, this blows. So then I went down to the bottom of the collar and like picked up stitches around and then snipped it and tried pulling it out. But I missed a whole bunch of stitches because, I don't know, it's been worn, it's older, like some of the stitches were a little felted together or whatever. So like I'm quite good at picking up stitches, but like it was kind of all over the place, the stitches that I lost and whatever. So by the end of picking up all those stitches, I had probably like 30 light bulb stitcher markers all the way around here holding stitches so that they didn't, I mean, they weren't going anywhere because they're half felted together anyway, but by the time I finally got it all, I did eventually get it all picked up on the needles. And so what I did was I wanted to make the neckline smaller, so I did decreases all the way around. I can't remember how many. I just like came up with a number in my head that was like every 8 stitches or something like that, do a decrease. I think I maybe did too many. It's like a little puckery, but when he puts it on and it like kind of stretches out, you can't really see that, so it's okay. And then I did ribbing on super small needles to make it cinch in more. But what I also did was I put some short rows, like I couldn't think of a way to take out the collar and add short rows and then redo the ribbing because I don't have this yarn anymore. So the only yarn I had to use was the yarn that was already in the collar. So if I had ripped that back and added short rows in the back and then did the collar, I wouldn't have had enough yarn. So I kind of kept an eye on how much yarn I had. I did I think 1 round of ribbing and then kind of marked each side so that I knew where the back was. And then I just went back and forth doing some German short rows. I think I did like maybe 4 short rows or something, and then kept going in the round. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 rows in the back, and then there's 1. It's hard to count with this yarn because it's very tweedy. I don't know, there's probably like 4 or 5 rows of ribbing in the front, and then in the back there's like 8 or 9 rows. So when he put it on, it sat way way better. He loves it now and is very excited about using it, or wearing it I should say. So yeah, that was the flax worsted by Tin Can Knits. And the yarn I used, it was a long time ago, but I do remember that it was Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. I don't remember what color it is, but it was one of the tweeds that they have. And it's a very nice color. The color of it actually is very similar. If you're looking to get something Canadian, it's not going to cost you $1 million in exchange rate and shipping. Polka Dot Creek Shelly does have a color very similar to this called Eucalyptus, and they have a DK tweed base. So if you're looking to do something like that, I think that would work very nicely. It is a DK weight, but it is quite a plump DK weight that they have. Excuse me. Now, before the elephant in the room, I'll talk about what I'm wearing because I forgot to do that. I'm wearing something I don't really like all that much. Well, I like it because it's very cozy and warm, because it's fingering weight and mohair held together, which is my favorite. If you've been here long enough, you know that's my jam. This yarn is Spicy Mustard colorway from Polka Dot Creek, fingering weight and mohair held together. And I used a pattern by a designer that I don't make her patterns anymore, so I don't really want to talk about the pattern and promote it, but it is a very simple like very beginner cardigan. It's a circular yoke, like you are knitting back and forth, but it is a circular yoke. There's no short rows. It's very simple. I would like it a lot better, but the size that I made called for a certain number of increases. I can't remember how many. And I was kind of thinking, I don't know if I need that last increase, and that last increase made it really big, and it kind of like, around here it kind of gathers and puckers, and I don't wear it frequently because I feel like I shouldn't have put that last increase in there. But I do love this color. I don't wear this color a lot. I don't know if it's the best color for me, but I do love it. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. There are lots and lots of beginner cardigan patterns on Ravelry. I'm sure there's lots of free ones. Just look for one that's, if you want to use fingering weight and mohair, just look for one that's a DK, that calls for DK yarn, and you can either use DK yarn or sub it with fingering and mohair. And yeah, it's very cozy and I love it. It's very cold outside here at the moment. I didn't say where I live. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it has been very cold here. For the last few days, the wind chill has got us down to like minus 25-ish Celsius, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I think once you get into the minus, I think they're fairly similar. Anyway, excuse me. I don't know what's happening with my throat area. I am almost 27 minutes into this, and I have not talked about this gorgeous thing that's hanging on my chair behind me. I finished my Sweet Shop blanket. This is like the moment where you want, like, if I knew how to do it, I would be putting in like confetti and streamers and like hooray in the background. I don't really know how to do that, so you guys can just do that for me and be like, hooray, she finished her giant blanket. Yeah, I finished the very last block while I was watching the very last Eras Tour concert. So I posted a story picture of me knitting on it while watching the live stream of the last concert of the Eras Tour, and I said, just two girlies wrapping up some long-term projects. But yeah, I finished it and I just love it. I've gushed and gushed over this blanket so many times. It's just the thing that it will be, I'm pretty sure, my favorite thing that I've ever knit. I think probably for my whole life. I just love it so much. It brought me so much joy. Every block, like, just, I think the thing that I love about it the most is that I love all the colors. Like, I love all the colors under the rainbow. Like when I used to work at Polka Dot Creek, the thing that I loved about it the most was seeing all the colors all the time and thinking, oh, I love that color, I need to make something with that color. And then I'd turn to another pot and be like, oh, I love that color, I need to make something with that color. But I'm also not someone who wears a lot of like bright colors or a lot of colors, to be honest. I'm a very neutral kind of girly. But this just gave me the freedom to make something with all those like amazing colors that I love, and put it into something that I can look at and appreciate and like give me joy. So I think that was my very favorite, that is my very favorite thing about it. The colors in it are just incredible. So let's go into some details. I am not going to give you all the details though, because I'm going to do a separate video here on my YouTube channel all about this blanket. I should name her. Maybe I'll think about that before I do the video about her. Yeah, a number of you have, like, who have been following along on this blanket journey with me, have messaged me privately saying, you know, I got started on this and I need help with this. What do I do here? And then I like make a video and send it to you, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And people just asking advice on how, whatever. So I decided that I'm going to make a whole video all about her with some tips and tricks that I kind of figured out along the way, and some really, really crazy stats Like the numbers on this bitch are, so I'm not gonna give any of that stuff here because I want you to watch the other video, but it's, I was sitting there writing down, I was like, this, and Dave was like, well, how much of this was it? And how much of that? I was like, ooh, good question. Like, dude, I got all these good stats. Anyway, I should stop talking about the things that I'm not gonna tell you. Did I name this blanket? No, it's the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. That is the name of the pattern. And all of the yarn, except for this last row down here, I can't show you the whole thing because she's large. She fits over the top of a queen-sized blanket or a queen-sized bed. Like doesn't hang over the edges, but it covers the entire top of a queen-size bed. So it's not possible for me to like hold it up for you. Yeah, you can see how pretty she is here. I'm going, hopefully I will have been putting like videos and pictures and stuff up here of the finished blanket. The yarn I used for all of it except for the last stripe was all the Blanket Club. It's sort of like a subscription. They do 3 months at a time. And for 2024, I used the 2024 Blanket Club. The 2025 Blanket Club is available now. You can go to Polka Dot Creek website and find out all the details. If I try to give you all the details here, I will fuck them all up. So you go and find that if you're interested. The Blanket Club that I used was 2024, and it was 9 colors per month, and for every month you would get, yes, 9 10-gram minis, and they would all be in the same color family. I think the 2025 Blanket Club is different. I don't think they're all in the same family anymore, so doing lots of different colors and all that, which will be very, very beautiful. This year it was like, January was oh shit, how did I forget? January was pink, February was red, and then there was like, it just kept going on. It was in like a loosey-goosey rainbow order, and yeah, it's just beautiful. Like everyone just like bowed down to Shelly and her, just like her seemingly infinite ability to come up with crazy beautiful colors. Like she just goes in and like, oh, I think I'm just gonna make 11 billion new colorways today, and like, oh, okay, no problem. I don't know how she does it. That brain of hers is something else, that's for sure. But yeah, she is a dying genius, and this blanket is just a testament to how her brain works. And so anyway, thank you, Shelly. The last stripe is a rainbow that Candace, who also works at Polka Dot Creek, but she also has her own yarn dyeing company called Mary Margaret Fibers. And I wanted to finish off the bottom of my rainbow blanket with an actual rainbow. So Candace agreed to make up a 9-color rainbow for me because that's how many colors were in each row of my blanket. And she just completely knocked it out of the park. I'll put a picture up here of the rainbow that she dyed me. And it's amazing. It was like the perfect way to end off my blanket, and I love it so much. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I was gonna say about my blanket. Hopefully you've enjoyed all the photos and videos that I've put up here. And yeah, stay tuned for a Sweet Shop blanket video. I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but I am gonna do it because I have all these notes, and yeah, I'm gonna do it. Okay, just stay tuned. Okay, let's move on to works in progress. I don't have a lot of them, but having just talked about how I just finished this amazing giant blanket, after I finished it, I immediately felt like I had no purpose in life. because for almost an entire year, it took me 10 months to knit this blanket. For almost an entire year, I always had something, like, I usually knit on it in bed while we were watching TV before we would go to sleep. I would get usually like a half, like one triangle, a half a block done like every night. And so I would always have that to knit on. That was my nighttime knitting. I didn't have to think about it because I have the entire pattern memorized in my head. And so then after that, I was like, well, what am I gonna knit on in bed now? Like, what am I gonna, like, knit the sleeves that I don't want to knit? No, don't be silly. So if you remember, when I went to Knit City in Calgary this year, Jody from the Grocery Girls is also a yarn dyer, and her yarn company is called Frankie Gray Fibers, and they had a giant booth at Knit City. And I knew that they had a whole bunch of Taylor Swift colorways, and I didn't know if they were bringing them with them or not. And I was like, well, if they bring them, then maybe I'll just take a look at them, because I had an idea in my head. I knew I was going to finish this blanket, and I was going to want to start another blanket. I had the idea in my head that I was going to make the Stella quilt blanket. I'll put a picture up here. I'm a very, like, I talk with my hands a lot. I just realized that. So that was my idea. I was going to get all the Taylor Swift colorways from Frankie Gray Fibers, which I did. They brought them, I bought them. And I was going to make a Stella quilt blanket with it, with just like one album color per star. And then once I finished this, I was like, I'm a little bit burnt out on this, because it's the same idea. You still are making like half square triangles, blocks, but just the way that you assemble them is different to make a different shape, like a quilt star, basically. So after I finished this, I was like, I need something else. I still want to make my Taylor Swift blanket, but I need to do it in a different way. So we're crocheting, girls. We are crocheting. A bunch of people have posted just like, I don't know, maybe just because I was thinking crochet in my head, I started seeing more crochet things in my feed, or maybe my phone is actually like listening to my thoughts now. I don't know, because it definitely listens to everything I say. So maybe it has like figured out how to read my mind now, because I started seeing more crochet blankets, granny square blankets, that kind of thing. I was thinking about doing just like a traditional granny square, like where it's just, you just go around and around. But I wanted it to be more solid, like not have so many big gaping holes in it as a traditional granny square does. And then someone else had posted some sunburst granny squares that they had been making, and I was like, ooh, I like that, because it's still got some of the traditional granny square in it, but it's more of a solid coverage kind of thing. So I found this pattern up here. It is called the Huga Burst Blanket, and it is by Mallory Crawl, I think her name is. She is Not a Crawl Crochet on Instagram. I will put all the links down below. And I think it is going to be awesome. So I haven't decided yet how I'm going to arrange all the blankets, but I have all of the yarn. I'll put a picture up here. I have a colorway for every album. So that's 11 colors. And then their 12th color is the Eras Tour. So I'm going to be making, my plan is making 9 blocks of every album color. And then I'm going to do, for the joining, I'm going to use bare undyed yarn, just like here, that. And then for the border, there's like a border with like, they look like pom-poms. They're just like little clusters, I think. So for the border cluster things, I'm going to use the Eras Tour colorway, because the Eras Tour encompasses all of those albums, except for the debut album, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyway, I have already started. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I'm very excited about it because I posted a picture of my blocks for my first colorway already, and then I like spammed my stories with a bunch of million different pictures, and I'm very excited about it. So the first album and the first colorway is Fearless, and here is one of my squares. So the Taylor Swift, that's just the name of the album. Her debut album was just called Taylor Swift. And I'll put a picture up here of the color of the album cover, and that is what inspired the colorway. So I've got all of my 9 blocks all done. These puppies, they are fast, like real fast. I finished all these in like maybe a day or a day and a half, and then I was like, that's interesting. Maybe I'll just kick up the next color. So the next album was Fearless, and I finished all 9 of those. So I'll put a picture of the album cover up there, and this is my square. It's so pretty. I love it. I'm very excited about how this blanket is going to turn out. So I have both of those. Here's what's left. I'm using DK weight. Here's what's left. I have about 30 grams left of each of these. So in my head, I'm thinking maybe I will do some sort of granny square cardigan with the leftovers. I don't know. And I can hear you all laughing and snickering like, oh, we remember what happened last time she made a granny square cardigan. Well, stop. Because since then, Tanis Lavely of Tanis Fiber Arts released a granny square cardigan. And I know it's not these squares, but I'm pretty sure that I can use these squares and figure out how to incorporate these into that cardigan. So don't hold me to this, because probably by the end of the blanket, I'll be like, I don't want to make any more of these stupid fucking squares. So it's just an idea. We'll see if it pans out. I really should just do the extra squares while I'm making these piles of squares. But I also, when I get to the end, like I finish 9 and I'm like, oh yay, I get to start another color, and I don't want to just make a bunch more. So have I started the third color? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I did the first one yesterday. The third album is called Speak Now, and contains, I have 2 favorite Taylor Swift songs. And Speak Now contains one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, which is Enchanted. And I will put a picture up here of the album cover, and this is the Speak Now colorway. Oh, I was excited to get to this one. It is so pretty. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be crocheting my little ass off to get all of these done. At the rate I'm going, I'm probably gonna be done this entire blanket by the time I come back for another episode, but I hope not, because then I'll probably have a very sore hand. But that's neither here nor there. The bag that I'm using to hold all of this, I figured since I'm using Jody's yarn, Frankie Gray fibers, I might as well throw it back old school and use this bag. If you've been following the Grocery Girls for a while, you know that Jody used to be a bag maker, and her bag company was called Mrs. Brown's Bags. I'm sure you can't, oh, that's not even the side that it's on. Anyway, Mrs. Brown's Bags. I don't know if they sell. She did hire someone to sew her bags, but I don't know if they even do sell them anymore. But I'll try and find a link for it. But this was one of her kind of signature bags, were pictures of different colorways knitted up and then put onto fabric. So it's a nice big bag, holds lots of stuff. So I just figured that's what I would do. Did I forget to mention anything about that? I don't know. My only other active whip for the moment, and it's almost done, is socks for my husband for Christmas. You may remember from a few episodes ago, oh shoot, I need a sock blocker so I can show this to you. BRB. Anyway, a few episodes ago, I mentioned that I was trying to find self-striping yarn in the Seattle Seahawks colorway because my kids both play hockey and their team is called the Hawks and their colors are the Seahawks colors. And my husband has for a long time been a hockey coach, my kids' hockey coach. And so we have a lot of things in our house with these colors. We have a lot of team jackets and team toques and team whatever you have you. But he didn't have any team colored socks. So I was in search of Seattle Seahawks self-striping yarn. Couldn't find any. I mean, there's lots in the States, but I'm not willing to pay like $80 for one skein of self-striping yarn. So I asked my good friend Shelly at Polka Dot Creek if she would be willing to dye up a Seattle Seahawks self-striping colorway. And she said she had had a few other requests for that as well. So she went ahead and dyed some. I went out there and picked it up immediately. I cranked that bitch into a tube because your girl does not like knitting socks anymore, because as I mentioned, when I first started knitting, I knitted about 1 billion pairs of socks and I pretty much never want to knit socks again. So my, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh man. I can't think of the word. I keep thinking comparison, but it's not comparison. Holy shit. Compromise. Ha! I got there. That was really long. Anyway, my compromise is that I will crank a tube on my circular sock machine and then I just add cuffs, heels, and toes, and that makes my life a lot easier. So here is one sock that I have completed. So this is the Seattle Seahawks colors, self-striping colorway from Polka Dot Creek. The set, the yarn set that you get one skein of this, one 50-gram skein of this, and one 20-gram mini. And the mini that you get with it is like a brown because it's a football colorway, so the brown is for the football. So I also bought a navy mini and a limeade mini so that I could make them in the Seahawks colors. What was I just gonna say about that? Oh yeah, 50-gram skein. So this, my husband has men's size 9 foot. So this is one sock that is complete. And here is the second sock, which is almost done. I have the cuff, the heel, and I'm working on the toe at the moment. And I didn't, when I cut the toe, when I picked up all the stitches, there was, I think, about this much left of the 50-gram skein. So the difference in size between feet is very, very small. Like the difference between a size 9 and a size 10 is probably only about 4 or 5 rows, which is like one stripe maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but it is a lot. It doesn't seem like 50 grams is enough for a pair of socks, especially for like a men's pair of socks, but it is. If you have minis, then you can use that entire tube for the leg and the foot, and then you can just use your minis for the rest, and 50 gram goes a long way. So I'm almost done those. I had successfully kept them a secret until last night. He was going out for drinks with some friends that he hasn't seen for a long time. So he left and I got out his sock. I'm like, okay, I gotta finish this one. All I need to finish is this toe. I just whacked myself with a needle. And then half an hour later, he came back in the house and I was like, what are you doing? His friends, I don't know what happened. There was a miscommunication and his friends weren't there yet and I don't know what happened. Anyway, I was like working away on this and like, I'm always sitting there knitting. So I'm just sitting there knitting and like not thinking about what I'm knitting. And he looked over and he's like, ooh, look at those. I was like, oh shit. So he caught me, but that was okay because then he was able to try this on and make sure that it fit, that I made the foot long enough. I'm always worried that I did not make the foot the right size, but it fit him perfect. So we are almost done those, and that will be my last gift knit of the year because today's December 19th and I'm not starting anything else. Yeah, those are my only whips at the moment, which is a problem because after Christmas, we have like the usual Christmas this family, Christmas that family. But after we're done with that, we're going out to our cabin on Vancouver Island for a week. And when I am at that cabin, I stay inside that cabin in front of the fireplace, knitting pretty much all day, every day. So I need something to work on. Now, I can hear you all saying, knit those fucking sleeves. I'm not knitting the sleeves, so just back off, okay? I don't know. I might take it. No, I don't want to. Maybe, I don't know. If you're new here and you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I have the body of this done. And I've knit this much of the sleeve. And I don't know what it is. Like, I just don't want to. I think, well, I know what it is. It's a fingering weight texture all over, and it's not hard to do. I just have a massive mental block when it comes to sleeves, especially fingering weight sleeves. So, I mean, I did all of this in like a day or two, so it's not hard. I just need to, I don't want to is the problem. So it's not that it's hard or that it's gonna take me a really long time to do them. So I probably should just do them. You guys are probably really sick and tired of me talking about this for those of you who've been around for a long time. This could have been done a long, long time ago. But anyway, the pattern for any new people is the Market Henley by Claire Jackson. It's just all over textured Henley style long sleeve. I'll put the link below. And the yarn that I'm using is Sonder Yarn Company Sunday Morning 4-ply 75 BFL 25 Mash'em, and it's quite a nice yarn to work with. It feels a little bit crunchy when you're knitting it, but then when you block it, it gets very drapey and comfy. So, sorry, did I say whale watching? Whale watching is the colorway. I probably just said that 10 seconds ago, but that is how squirrely my brain is sometimes. So that is a possibility for me to take to work on. But if I take that, I'm gonna take that whole project bag, and if I take that, then I'm probably gonna finish both of those sleeves while I'm there. And then I'm gonna need something else to work on. So I'm definitely gonna bring my crochet blanket. I might possibly just make the whole thing, because that is something that I do. Once I like sink my teeth in, I just go all out and don't come up for air, basically. But yeah, I am struggling to figure out what I should take with me to knit. I kind of want to cast on another sweater, something new. I haven't knit a sweater for myself, like besides this one that I can't make myself finish the sleeves. I haven't finished a sweater for myself for quite a while now. yeah, and maybe that's why I feel so out of sorts lately, is because I am not knitting myself sweaters. But I have some acquisitions to show you, and those may be the answer, but I'm not sure. This is getting very like wishy-washy here, so let's maybe move on. Maybe I'll show you my acquisitions and tell you the things that I'm thinking. That sounds like a good idea. First of all, not long after my last episode, I was not ready for this, obviously, because my yarn is down here. Doy. Okay. Shortly after my last episode, Reshma of Hello Lavender posted a photo of a sweater that she had just finished, and my jaw dropped to the floor because it was just absolutely gorgeous. And I will put a picture up here of the sweater that she made. The pattern she used is, I believe it's called The Daily by Andrea Mowry, and she used some new yarn that Tony from TL Yarn Crafts has just launched. She launched her own line of yarn, and it's like a bulky weight, like chainette style yarn, or like blown in, I shouldn't say chainette, like a blown in yarn. So I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I don't think there's anywhere in Canada that carries that yarn. It's a hobby or Hobie yarn, and I don't think there's no distributors or retailers in Canada. So I was looking for subs, and I came upon Drops Wish, which is sort of like Drops Air, but it's a bulky weight. So I found a store in Calgary that carries it. Drops Wish is actually discontinued, so it's kind of hard to find. But Yarn Twisters, which is a yarn shop in like the deep south of Calgary, carries Drops Wish, and had enough of this color for me. And I happen to have the other color, like I want to like completely identically replicate this sweater that Reshma made. So this is the Drops Wish that I got from Yarn Twisters, and I have this color in Drops Air, which is, what is it called? I think it's called I think it's considered a worsted weight, maybe? DK to worsted. So I have lots of this. So I'm gonna hold this double to get bulky. Oh God, I love it so much. I really, really, really do. So that is one option that I could take with me to cast on. And then, I'll show you my other acquisition that I got at Yarn Twisters. So, okay, you guys will remember that recently I made some baby sweaters. This is one of them, which I really like, this one. And then this was the second one I made. I still haven't woven the ends in, probably because I don't like this one. Like, I don't mind the colors, but I don't like the, I don't know if you can see, like the bottom color, that cinnamon color, I was using fingering weight held together instead of, like, these ones are more of a worsted weight. And I don't like the way that it looks, and like the stitches in the color work are a little bit gapey, and I don't like that, and I don't like how you can see where the increases are. So anyway, this one, I just don't really like that one as much. I really like this one. We don't know what the sex of the babies, there's 2 babies coming. They don't know the sex of the babies. We won't know the gender of those babies until much later in life when they decide what their gender is going to be. So I had those baby sweaters on the brain. There's 2 babies coming. I have that one that is a possibility. It's gender neutral. I think that any baby could wear that. But then when I was at Yarn Twisters, they had this amazing, not amazing, but like this very user-friendly, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a really nice worsted weight yarn. It's 50% acrylic, 40% wool, and 10% nylon. So it's Estelle worsted. It's like, I'm sure you've heard of Estelle yarn. So this is the Estelle worsted base. And I got these colors. That gray isn't looking right. But, so my idea is this one for the collar. So in here, they're supposed to look like mountains. Because, oh, I didn't say the name. This is, shit, what's it called? It's by Tin Can Knits, Mountain Mist, that's what it's called. So these are supposed to look like, so there's one set of mountains, and then that color in there is another set of mountains. So mountains, mountains. So there's the collar, which is the sky, mountains, mountains, and then the main color. So my idea is, when I put all these colors together, I thought they looked really nice. And I thought this could be the sky or the collar, and then mountains, mountains, and then gray for the main color. Or I could do the opposite too. I could do this for the collar, mountains, mountains, and then this. I don't know, I'm not gonna make a white baby sweater. I think that would be ridiculous. So anyway, I think I might make one more just so that I have another option, I think. I'm not as happy. Oh, those all just fell on the floor. Just not as happy with that second one as I would like to be. So I did buy a few things there at Yarn Twisters. And then, what's today? Thursday? On Monday this week, the knit night that I go to every year at our last meeting before the holidays, we always have a yarn swap. So you can bring as many skeins of yarn as you want and put them all in the pile. And then everyone draws numbers for when their turn is. If you go first or second or third or whatever, based on how many skeins of yarn there are on the table. And you get, the number of turns you get is equal to how many skeins that you brought. So I brought 8 skeins of yarn from my stash to put into the pile. So I got 8 turns, if that makes sense. Now, my friend Nicole, who I actually met because her daughter goes to the same school as my kids, and we were both sitting at a Halloween dance a few years ago and just sitting there just like miserably while our kids are running around screaming. And she was wearing she was wearing a hand knit sweater, and I spotted it from across the room. I'm like, that was hand knit. And so we got chatting, and I asked her if she made her sweater, and then it was just, we were friends from then on. And so she comes to my knit night every once in a while. She is a spinner, and her mom is a major spinner. Her dad actually just built her own spinning wheel, like next level. Anyway, her mom is a really big spinner and spins tons and tons and tons of yarn, and then just gives them to my friend Nicole. So she has all this like massive stash. I'm just picturing it in my head. I don't know what it actually looks like. I haven't seen it. She has this stash of all this hand spun yarn. So she brought hand spun yarn to the yarn swap. Like, that's like bringing a gun to a thumb war fight. Like, you know, like, holy shit. So anyway, she comes in and she's like, oh, here, I'm just gonna put all my stuff on the table. And she like puts this one on there. And I'm like, whoa. And then she puts this one on. I'm like, oh. And she just kept adding more and more skeins of, it's all the same color. Like, how you get that kind of consistency across that many skeins of yarn, like, unbelievable. So I was like, my mind was, you know, like, there's a sweater quantity of hand spun yarn up for grabs. And how can I make them come home with me? That was like the like red alert thing was going off in my head. Like, this is an emergency. I need this yarn. Yeah, I think everyone else at the table recognized that like I was hungry for this yarn. So I had a fairly early turn. One of my turns was number 6. I got to go 6th. So when my first turn came up, I said, can I please forfeit 5 of my turns for this sweater quantity of hand spun yarn? So because it was hand spun yarn, everyone around the table had to agree that it was okay that I took all of it. It was clearly meant to go together. It wasn't like one person was going to take one skein, one person was going to take one skein. I mean, that probably could have happened, but I was not letting that happen. So anyway, this is a very long story just to explain to you that I have a sweater quantity of hand spun yarn. Look at how beautiful this is. This is actually quite fairly accurately showing you the color. At night, it just looks like a lump of brown, and sometimes it looks really purple. It has so many beautiful colors in it. There's reds and greens. There's a little bit of, I don't know, it's mostly reds and greens, but it sort of looks purple. It sort of looks brown. It's so gorgeous. So I have all of this, and I'm dying to make a sweater out of it. So that's my next problem, is I need the thing that popped into my mind immediately was to make another, it's all sport weight yarn, I didn't say that, was to make another traveler pullover. I recently made that, I don't know, a couple months ago. That's probably the last sweater that I finished, actually. And the yarn that I made that in, like, I wear it all the time. It's so comfortable, and the yarn is so soft and so bouncy and so squishy. But unfortunately, the yarn that I used pills like a motherfucker. So it's very disappointing because I love that sweater and I want to wear it all the time, but like all under the arms, all down there, it's all just like a pill factory. And it looks gross. So that was the first thing that popped into my mind, is make another traveler sweater. I think this would look absolutely gorgeous as a traveler sweater. But then I was like, there's gotta be lots of other awesome sport weight sweater patterns out there. Haven't come across any. I've been hunting on Ravelry. If you have any suggestions for me down here, please put them in the comments down here. That's what I was trying to say. Sport weight, pullover. I don't think I want a cardigan. I think I want a pullover. Drop shoulder preferably. No circular yokes. We don't get along. Possibly a raglan, maybe. It's all got to be one color, obviously. Yeah, if you have any favorite sport weight sweater patterns, please put them down below. Must be size inclusive also. Yes, thank you. I did get a few other skeins. I had a couple more tickets because I brought 8 skeins of yarn to the yarn swap. So I also got 2 skeins of hedgehog Aran weight, and it's called typewriter, I believe. It's called typewriter. So that is 2 full skeins of Aran weight, which I think will make some nice mittens, toque, whatever. And I got another skein of hand spun. This one is Nomad Fiberworks. It is a 2-ply merino wool and silk. I think it's a bulky. It just has interesting colors in it. It's like oranges and greens and kind of like that burnt orange, coppery, little bit of red. I actually kind of thought that these two looked nice together. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm gonna make with it. I just thought it was pretty, and I had to pick something off the table, like after I had already scored big time. Yeah, so those are all my acquisitions and my ideas of things to make while I'm away. I'm sure I'll figure something out, but if you have like a brainwave light bulb idea, let me know. But it has to be before I leave. Anyway, yeah, so that's all of my knitting and crocheting content. So if that's all you're here for, then you can show yourself out, and I'm going to talk about the rest of my life. But if you are showing yourself out, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a happy holiday season. Now, as for me, this is getting a little bit long anyway, so I'm going to try and not rapidy wrap. But things have been going very busily as always. We haven't had a ton of hockey. They finished their seeding round where they like all play each other, and then they figure out if any teams need to move up or move down or whatever. Both our kids stayed where they're supposed to be. So they've just started kind of like their regular season games. And then there's gonna be a break over the holidays anyway. So there hasn't been a ton of hockey, but my younger son, who is in competitive diving, he had an assessment last weekend. I guess when they start out, he's in pre-competitive, so he doesn't do any actual like competitions. He's learning all of the basics. It looks very easy, but it is very technical and very, very hard. So he's learning how to do all of the basic things the exact right way before he learns how to do all the fun, crazy things. So after he started in September, and I guess halfway through the season, when it's their first year, I don't think they did this for any of the other groups. They have a fundamentals assessment to make sure that after that amount of time, he has like developed the amount that he should have. And so they test the kids. It took like 2 hours. There was a lot of dryland stuff, like strength stuff, where they do what is called pike ups, where they like lay on their back with their hands like this and their toes pointed, and then they have to pike up. So straight legs, straight arms up, and then back down and up again. Oh my God. I can't even, but he's really good at it. There's a lot of that, a lot of like handstand holds, and they were doing like some dry board stuff where they have diving boards where you just jump off onto a foam mattress or whatever, like at gymnastics, those like big things that they jump onto. I don't know what they're called. So they were doing like jumps onto there and just showing their form. And then they finally got up onto the actual diving boards and did some dives into the pool. But anyway, the purpose is to make sure that they're learning at the pace that they're supposed to be learning, and that they're in the right spot, that they shouldn't like be moved back down to the like recreational diving for another year and then reassess later. But anyway, he did great. He's learning at the right pace, I guess. He's doing great. We're proud of him, and he's trying really hard, and he loves it. So that's all that's important. Yeah, my hands, if you're new here, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and it's been a bit of a journey. I've been on new meds for about 3 months now, and over the last month, my left wrist started flaring. There was a lot of swelling in here and like pain when I would move my wrist. It was like right in here, as well as like if I would like going like this really hurt. I don't know. It's just all those joints in there were getting inflamed and flared up. So I went into my rheumatologist this week, and he gave me another steroid injection. I've only been on this medication for 3 months. So he said, okay, let's reset this with the steroids, give it another 3 months, because sometimes it takes like up to 6 months for a medication to really be working properly. And so I'm going to see him in another 3 months and see if like there have been no more flare-ups, then we'll just keep going on this medication. And if I've been having more flare-ups, more problems, then we're going to have to move on to something else. So we'll see. Everyone, fingers crossed, because I need to still be able to knit. And if my hands hurt, I can't knit. Yeah. Oh, my older son is in grade 6 this year, which means next year he's going to junior high, which is kind of a big change. He's been at the same school. There's different kinds of school here. Some of them are elementary, kindergarten to grade 6, which is what my kids are in. That is their school, K to 6. There are some schools in the city that you start at they go from like grade 5 to 9. Some of them are like 6 to 8. There's lots of like middle schools. But the kind of most traditional way is kindergarten to grade 6, and then junior high is grade 7 to grade 9, and then high school 10 to 12. So usually you go to one school for junior high, 7 to 9, and then you go to another school for 10 to 12. So he's been in this school. This will be his 7th year in this school, because he started in kindergarten and now he's in grade 6. Next year he's going to have junior high. So it'll be grade 7, grade 8, and grade 9 in that school. It is twice as big, twice as many kids, and they're all going to be older kids. And he's very socially anxious, so he's worried. His biggest concern usually socially is like what the other kids are going to be like, if they're going to be mean to him, I think is his biggest worry. So we went to an open house at the junior high. Well, first his class actually went on a school field trip. They went on the bus and went to that junior high like during a school day and did a tour, and like some students there did some stuff with them. I don't know, I wasn't there. And then the following week we had a family open house at night when the school was empty. And yeah, so we'll see. It's a big change for sure. So he's a little nervous. If anybody has any tips on a little guy, little fish jumping into a big pond, then maybe let me know. Yeah, we had our knit swap, and the rest of the time has just been getting ready for Christmas. We do celebrate Christmas. We're not religious, but we are North American, so we do celebrate Christmas. Yeah, I've just been doing a lot of running around and Christmas shopping and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I think that's about it. Christmas is very much around the corner. So I hope that all of you who celebrate Christmas enjoy. All of you who celebrate other holidays at this time of year, such as Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and any of the other ones that I haven't mentioned, I apologize. But I do hope whatever you do celebrate, that you have a great time, that you're healthy, that you're safe and happy. And I appreciate all of you being here with me this year, sticking around with me. I hope you'll stick around with me again next year, and we'll see what we can get up to together. So yeah, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the new year. Bye.